Okay, it's time to start. Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Mobile Apps for Infor M3. My name is Caroline Jaiborn and I am the Director of Sales and Marketing at LeanSwift. For the past couple of years, LeanSwift has hosted a series of webinars about solutions that will help you digitize your business and improve the user process and user experience. So the focus today is mobile solutions. A lot of M3 customers have used mobile solutions in the warehouses for the past 10 years. Mobile requirements are now across the business still key in the warehouse, but not limited to the warehouse transactions. In today's webinar, you will hear more about how MobileFirst is a mobile solution for all M3 transactions for warehouse, office, and field operations. Today's presenter is Johan Axelsson. He has 25+ years experience with Infor M3. He is also one of the founders of LeanSwift and a huge advocate for improved user experience and improved efficiency using the system. If you have questions during the presentation, please submit them in the question box. If we do not have time to answer the questions at the end of the webinar, we will reach out to you afterwards. So now I will hand over the microphone to Johan.
Thanks, Caroline. I was on mute there. So yeah, nice to meet you all. Just a quick introduction. Most of you are familiar with LeanSwift, global leader in e-commerce and mobile solutions for M3, but we do a lot more than e-commerce and mobile solutions. So with some of our customers, and I'm happy to hear that some of you guys are here listening in today. A lot of focus for the US market, but we do provide primarily e-commerce and mobility also for the European market and Asia Pacific. So M3 services, M3 is the core of our business. All our customers are Infor M3 customers. We are an Infor Cloud Suite implementation partner, so we do full implementations from start to finish, M3 upgrades, etc. E-commerce, is very dear to us, so this is another topic. But today we're going to talk about mobility and integration, and how we get mobile applications to be seamlessly integrated with M3. And I just realized that I was not sharing my screen, so hopefully now you see the screen of some of our customers out there. M3 services, as I mentioned, we are an Infor Cloud Suite implementation partner with e-commerce as one of our key differentiators, where we bring e-commerce and customer portals to M3 customers worldwide. But again, today's topic is mobility, and how we both can use mobile applications, mobile solutions internally, but also use this externally. And how do we make sure that we have safe and secure access to M3 from the mobile devices, and also for you as an M3 administrator, knowing that only the right people have access to the information that you want to make available to them. So at LeanSwift, we have had a long, good approach to when it comes to mobility. We have developed an application suite of mobile apps native on iOS. And key to this has been considering these two different areas. For a user, it's all about simplicity and speed. And for you as an administrator, for those of you that are administrators, of course, security and reliability is key. So when it comes to the user, and today we're mainly going to focus on the user experience and mobile first. I want to today, bear with me, there's going to be a lot of live demos. So I'm going to run through a lot of scenarios to give you an idea a little bit of what this could mean like for what it could be like for the user. But the key thing for the user is that the MobileFirst is available on the App Store. So to get started, it's really as simple as you go to the App Store, you search for Infor M3, you download MobileFirst, and off you go. You log in, and then off you go. For you as an administrator, of course, there you have done some preparations in the kitchen. we need to make sure that the user is authorized to log in. So when the user logs in, he or she will have access only to the transactions that you allow them to have access to. So if I switch over and show you my iPad. So here's a screen on my iPad. We got a hamburger menu on the left where if I'm expanding this, we can see which transactions that I'm authorized to run. And I actually have two different versions of MobileFirst running right now. So logged in as this user only has access to 4 transactions. And switching to the other version where I'm logged in as another user, this user has access to more transactions. So you're always going to be in charge of which transactions would you want to run, who you're allowed to run, and also which users are authorized to run these different transactions. So that's key, of course, for us as administrators to make sure we have a secure access. So today's focus is to give you an idea a little bit of these out-of-the-box transactions that we have created for MobileFirst. So I'm going to run through a scenario where, starting on the left, we're going to take a look at some available inventory. After looking at the available inventory, I'm going to do a PO receipt. We will create a manufacturing order. I'm going to report the manufacturing order. After reporting that to this manufacturing order, I have 2 different warehouses set up in M3. So we're going to do a distribution from warehouse 1 to warehouse 2, which means a pick reporting. And after I do the pick reporting on the distribution order, we need to go to the warehouse number 2, and we're going to do a DO receipt. And once we've done the DO receipt, we're going to sell this out of the warehouse and doing a cash sales. And if time permits, bring this up in the invoice up in IDM afterwards to showcase the standard Infor IDM mobile app as well. So without any further delay, let's start over back here, and just want to bring up my Infor H5 solution. So we are currently running Infor M3 13.4 deployed on AWS. So I'm running this in the H5 user interface. And as you can see now, I have 2 different items set up. I have my Diet Coke, and then I have my Diet Coke 12 cans. So starting off with looking at my Diet Coke, and if I look at my balance identities for my Diet Coke in warehouse 001, I would expect to find something close to almost 200,000 cans. But let's go back here now, and I'm going to use this on my mobile app instead. So, and please consider all of these transactions now as kind of sample transactions. We all know that key for mobility is that the user experience should only include exactly what you need, no more, no less. We all know how many different ways we can configure M3. So don't consider these apps to be your final deployment. This is a sample transaction. So when looking at inventory availability, I can key in an item number. If I would like to, I can use the scanner, the built-in camera. So I got now I have my cam, and I'm scanning the cam and looking up the available inventory. So it's easy as that to find my available inventory for a particular item. If you want to search by location, you can do that. If I don't want to use the scanner, I can type in and use the keyboard instead. So now that I have 198,000 available in inventory, I'm still, this is a top seller, so I'm kind of low. So I'm going to take a look at one of my purchase orders. So if I move back to M3 and look at a purchase order, I have a purchase order created. If we look at the transactions for this purchase order, you're going to see that I've been doing some PO receipts on this particular purchase order in the past. So moving right back to my iPad and saying, okay, so on my iPad now, and there's a couple of different ways you could be doing this. Let's start with doing a PO receipt on the top left here, and just say, well, I need to scan a PO number. So again, what would you like to scan? So I have a purchase order, and my purchase order now, I got a barcode that indicates my PO number, which looks up this PO number and say, well, which line would you like to do receipt on? And remember, this could be one way of doing the PO receipt. If I'm going to do the receipt now, I can take some notes. I can say that I would like to receive, well, let's take a weird number. I'm going to receive 27 cans. If I only do a receipt now, it's going to tell me that you actually need to provide a put away location. So YF0101 is my favorite location. So now that I've specified quantity and put away, I'm just going to slide to confirm. And my PO has been received successfully, and I'm back. So doing a refresh in M3, I got my PO receipt of 27 received right there. So is this how you do PO receipts? Well, some of our customers says, well, I'm working in the warehouse. We do goods receipts in the warehouse, and that could be a purchase order, that could be a distribution order, and our warehouse people shouldn't really have to worry about this. Remember, simplicity is key. So again, if I would now say I would like to have a purchase order number, what did I call this? I called it YAX. Well, let me use the scanner again. And I'm going to go scan and find that purchase order. And I'm going to receive 31 this time. Okay, so just another slightly different look and feel. Okay, has been received in full. So as you can see now, I can switch with this one. I can switch between purchase order and distributions orders. If you would like to say, well, let's consolidate and let's just have the people in the warehouse do a scanning and let the app figure out if it's a PO or DO, that would work fine as well. So I hope I got another receipt recorded for 31 this time. So coming back to now, so we've done the checked available inventory, done the PO receipts, increased my available inventory. So I'm going to take my cans now, and I would like to create a manufacturing order, and I'm going to create a 12-pack out of these cans. When doing this, creating manufacturing order, some of you might be saying, well, is that really something you want to do on a mobile device? Well, again, this could be automated. I mean, you get the MO proposals generated from M3, and you would just release the MO proposals. A lot of our customers, they actually do create create manufacturing orders manually, and when doing so, we had one of our customers, as we were doing training, said, so I have to run over to my workstation and do this. Why can't I just do this on my phone? There's really not too many fields that I need to fill out, right? So here's one app where when we created this app, we did not build in the scanning functionality. So for the product right now, I actually need to say the product should be 0049 1 2 3 4 zeros 289 11. That is my product number. So it's going to look up my product structure and says I would like to create a manufacturing order of 40 12 packs. So on slide to confirm, and it says order 177 created successfully. So if I move back to M3 again, I know you all are thinking, hey, seeing is believing, right? So here's my refresh, my manufacturing orders, and here's my 177 that was just created. And I've created a couple in the past now from 172 to 177. So creating your manufacturing. So I think our key thing here is when you're thinking of mobile apps, don't just think of warehouse activities, field, people out and about in the field. What type of simple transactions would it make sense for some of the users to be able to do on their phone? Because it would just cut down the training time and for them not to be able to running back and forth. It could be in production, it could be in the office, it could be anywhere. So that was the covering the creating the manufacturing order. Well, what about reporting then? If I go back again and we look at the transactions here, so we can do MO verifications. I think this wasn't this Steve at CGR who wanted to have a simple app that just wanted to do a verification of making sure that the MO was reported in full. MO receipts. Well, doing an MO receipt now. coming in and taking a look at one particular product, and the product now, this one has a built-in scanner again. So here's my 12-pack, and where's my barcode up here? So if I'm scanning the product, we're going to see a list of the open manufacturing orders. So I can do reporting now on any of these. So I'm going to take my 175 first. There was 20 of these. How many have I produced? I manufactured 20, right? Do I want to do a manual completion flag? No, I do not. But I do need to specify location again. If I would like to do a stock entry, of course, I need to tell them where I'm going to put this, and then I do a process, and the MO receipt reported successfully. As I'm reporting this successfully, if I go back and just do a refresh on the screen, the manufacturing order is disappearing because I'm all done with the reporting. So location, let's just take another one, YF0101, 30, well, I reported 25, but I'm going to do a manual completion, and I'm going to do a process. So I didn't process, I did process this one. I said I didn't complete it in full, but I manually finished marked the manufacturing order. So just an example to kind of showcase that when we can create manufacturing orders, report manufacturing orders. Do you do material issues to an MO? Of course, that's another transaction, or operation reporting, time reporting, clock in, clock out, etc. So that was a couple of showcase demonstrations. So let's move on then to distribution orders and DO pick reporting. So go back to my M3. So I have a couple of distribution orders. My distribution orders have a couple of different statuses. So I have a JAX DO D19 here, which is in a pick status. So if we go take a look at the delivery toolbox for this particular distribution order, you can see it's been allocated. I've released the pick list. I printed the pick list. It's been packed in the pack location, and it's ready to go. So how about doing just a simple pick reporting then? So coming back to my iPad and doing pick reporting. Again, pick reporting can look different ways depending on how you do your picking. Do you want to do a picking and move to pack location? Should you have auto packing or not? Do you do packing or not? So when it comes to this application, it's tailored to be scanning a delivery number. So I've got a pick list printed, standard M3 pick list, and I got a reporting number 2109. Let's move that one down and say, well, this was 100. Well, I'm actually going to report. I'm going to report it in full. So 100, and this delivery is picked successfully. So if I go back to M3 and I move out on my delivery toolbox, you can see that this has been shipped in full. So this was all in my, I don't know if you noticed now, but I did the pick reporting here in my warehouse number 1. So now I need to move over to my warehouse number 2 and do a DO receipt. Of course, depending on how you configure M3. Do you do a manual receipt, or will you automatically do the receipt? So I would expect this inventory right now to be on the truck. So if I move back to M3, I look at my balance identities. I had 625 that was in transit. If I do a refresh, you can see I have 725 in transit right now, so they are sitting on the truck on the way over to my warehouse number 2. So what is my next step? Well, receipts. So coming back to my overview, I'm going to do a DO receipt. And remember, in this warehouse, they sometimes receive distribution orders, sometimes they receive purchase orders. So when I do a DO receipt now, I will use my goods receipt application, which could be purchase orders or it could be distribution orders. And for this particular distribution order that I'm going to do the receipt of, it was coming back to my distribution order. And my D19 in the delivery toolbox, I did have a delivery number of 2109, right? So when I'm looking at this goods receipt right now, I am currently still looking at this from warehouse number 1. So the first thing I need to do is to look at warehouse and say, let's move over from my main warehouse to my regional warehouse. So I'm in my regional warehouse, go back to distribution orders, and my order number that I was going to receive on. Hopefully I get some kind of documentation that comes with it. 2109 that I did the delivery from. Wasn't the order number, right? What's the delivery number? 2109. There it is. There you go. Nothing like a live demo, huh? So my order number, my distribution order was Jack's D19, and my delivery number was 2109. But again, at the end of the day, when your guys are doing this in the warehouse, they will have the proper paperwork or not. Let's eliminate the paperwork and just bring up the to-do list on the tablet and then have them report directly on the tablet. So I'm going to receive my 100 process, and the distribution order receipt is successfully completed, which means hopefully if I look at my balance identity, instead of my 725 now, this is moved over, of course not, moved over to my other warehouse. So I'm moving over to warehouse number 2. Then I got this received as my 150. So I got a reporting the pick reporting, DO receiving, moving back into my warehouse number 2 and saying, well, now that I have available inventory in warehouse number 2, how about if I go and do some sales of this Diet Coke cans? So on my iPad now, I have another possible transactions. And again, we all know that creating a custom order can be very complex. It can be a lot of rules, business rules that need to be implemented. This is a simple, straightforward cash order. So here's a fictive customer that is doing some sales out of their vans. So I've now made a stock movement to my van. I'm out doing some sales out of my van, and I'm going to base this. Every van is set up as a customer. So I'm just going to add my some products to my shopping cart. I add this to my an item number I can key it in, or I can be scanning my barcodes. So here's my Diet Coke, and it says, how many do you want to buy? Well, I want to buy 3 of this. They are $2 a piece. We looked up the price, looked up that in the description for M3. I'm going to do add to cart. Why don't I just do one more? Customer could not make up their mind. So this says, well, it was so good, I'm going to have another 4. Add to cart. And looking at this cart now, I have a total of 7. So let's do a checkout and send the order to M3. So we've got a short order history indicating the orders that has been sent to M3. So pretty simple, straightforward number of transactions all the way to the customer sales. And I think I would be, if I go back and look at my inbox, I should have received some Diet Coke sales here. I've sold 2, and I've sold 3 and 4 for $2 a piece. So there's my invoice. And of course, this invoice now, I got this set up to show up in my inbox. But if I move back to IDM, for instance, and launch the Infor standard document management application, and if I look at some recent documents, 411, this should be today, right? So how about open this file and take a look at it. I think that was maybe not refreshed then. So this was from This was from my last night. So there's a slight delay in 1 or 2 minutes. So just another example of showcasing how you can combine now MobileFirst for M3 and Infor standard applications. So if I want to take this document that has been generated, and I would like to just add this to my email and send this to Johan and my invoice. Fire away. So there we go. Got the invoice sent away back to my inbox, combining MobileFirst and Infor's IDM app. Oh, I did it again. Got too many screens right now, trying to use my laptop and touch that screen as well. So that concludes the online demo part. And as you've seen now, simplicity and speed is key for the user. And performance is really good. Right now, as I mentioned now, our M3 application runs on AWS. I'm actually doing this, I did these transactions on using VPN, but there's no requirement to have a VPN set up. So how this works from an administrator's point of view to make this secure and reliable is that your users, all they have to do is download the app and run. What you have done as an administrator means that you can go to the marketplace and you will activate the transactions to let them know, to enable transactions to connect to your M3. It will only be transactions that you have authorized to connect that will be allowed to connect to M3. The connection then is using OAuth authentication, so it's a secure connection. The users do not need a VPN on their mobile phone, so that's another thing that we've solved with this architecture. And you will decide, as I mentioned earlier, which users can run, that are authorized to run each transaction. So different users can have different content. So that's what's available out of the box. If this does not work, if you're missing, well, that's nice, but not exactly what we need, no worries. That's the intention. That's the intent with this. So Route Equipment, for instance, had a need for a sales rep application. So the process here, going through a design process of designing the application, coming up, we're providing a couple of different samples of what the application could look like. Based on a mock-up, we're then defining the application and the user experience, so they can be providing your look and feel to the application. When it comes to merchants metals, using a proof of delivery application out of the field, as they're doing the deliveries, the customer can sign with a finger on the tablet right away. We're confirming and reporting the delivery in M3, creating a PDF document that is stored in Document Archive, and also emailed to the customer so they can get an instant confirmation about the receipts. So with that, Caroline, I don't know how I am on time. Opening up for questions and
yes. And we do have a couple of questions actually. Do these apps support offline mode?
Good question. They do, and they do support it, and then it is a matter of deciding for this particular business process if you want it to be offline or not. So everything that I've been running today has been online directly to M3. So we've not been holding up any transactions. We do have some of these applications, like the inventory counting, for instance. These applications support offline mode. So we have customers that when you're going to do take inventory, download this to your local device. Sometimes they don't have coverage where they do take the inventory. So you do that locally and then you synchronize it back. But that is, so that's actually something that is possible and for us to do for each and every one of these applications. So wherever it makes sense, they can be offline. And that's actually one of the benefits also when we're using native applications like this. It is, we do have full access to be offline with a built-in database, synchronized data. We have full access to GPS and the camera and other device functionality.
So actually, out of respect of time, we will reach out to you who have additional questions. But this was a super duper presentation. I'm very impressed, Johan, that you did it live. Sometimes I know technology doesn't cooperate with you, but this was good. So thank you. And I've also received a lot of comments during the presentation, and people are very impressed. So all good. So everybody, thank you so much for joining in today, and we will reach out to you. There is also a chance to get this as a recording if you want to share with your coworkers as well. So again, thank you everybody, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you all. Have a good one. Bye-bye.